Blah, 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 and Keki, you already know this. None of that matters anymore. More importantly, have you seen my child? If not,
would you like to?
Okay, hi, it's your favorite man-made disaster, Keki here, and Art Fight is finally upon us. Art Fight. The one time of year I get to be annoying about my OCs for a certain piece of media that no one cares about. In fact, if I had a nickel for every single time I've gotten obsessed with a piece of media and made an OC for it, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but you already know where this joke is heading. Anyway, you didn't click on this video to listen to me ramble about how no one likes my OCs and my original ideas, since I've been stuck in fandom content for so many years now, and it's hard to escape because no matter how much I try, I'll always be the animated moments girl from the Dream SMP. You're here because the title says Art Fight, and you are participating this year. For those who need a brief rundown of the event, Art Fight is an annual art game that lasts for 1 month beginning every July. Each year, participants are split into 2 themed teams, which you can either choose or have it be randomly decided for you. Players attack people on the opposing team by making art of original characters you choose belonging to the members of the other team. Your team receives points based on what you create for the other team with each attack. The artist that received the attack can then counter that attack by drawing the character belonging to the person who attacked them, which is known as revenge, or pay it forward by attacking a different person on the other team. You can also attack people on your own team, which is called friendly fire. At the end of the month, the team with the greater score wins. And that's the basic gist of it. Now, you may be asking, Keki, does the winning team get, like, a prize or something for winning? No. You see, Art Fight is just an event that's about sharing OCs and art with fellow artists on the internet, hence no prizes. Only the satisfaction that one of the teams won, and you improved as a result of your month-long efforts. So, you want to join Art Fight this year? Even if you don't, I'm gonna enlighten you on what you need to prepare before July 1st, so you're not flailing around at 11:59 p.m. on June 30th trying to submit your references, but you can't because the site keeps crashing. Not speaking from personal experience, maybe I am, but we're gonna ignore that. Last year was my first Art Fight, and I was so freaking confused because I genuinely couldn't be bothered to research anything, so that was kind of a me problem, but this year is different. I've got hands-on experience, and I am super excited for this year. I'm featuring a couple new OCs this year, so let me tell you a little bit about them because I need to make a video, and not taking this perfect chance to yap about my OCs is a waste of an opportunity. But before we get to any of that, let's go over some basic rules for the newcomers here. First off, you're gonna need references and lots of them. Any drawing you've done will do. It can be a one-off sketch that you liked, or even a full illustration. I like to make my refs a little bit cleaner, with main poses displaying their outfits, or alternate outfits if they have any, with accessories and little details to the side. I also like to make sure to clearly lay out their color palette so it's easy for the attacker to color pick, rather than just having to kind of like guesstimate on the actual person. Sometimes I put little expressions on the side of the reference sheet for no other reason than I like drawing them making weird faces. Alright, now that you've got your references handy, let's make an Art Fight account and get into using the site. It doesn't have to be anything really fancy, so a short description should suffice for now. I've spent a while decorating mine to fit the team I've joined for this year, but that really isn't mandatory, so don't worry about it. Next, we're gonna add your character. Head up to your profile and click the little arrow next to your picture. Go to the Manage section and click Characters, and you'll be taken to your active character roster. I already have a bunch here since I'm actually on top of my game this year, so let's use my newest OC, Licia, as an example. For y'all who have no characters to work with, select Submit New Character at the top right of the page. Once we're into the character creation page, I know it can look daunting, but do not worry, it's all pretty simple. Let's start to fill in the form. Classic things are needed like your OC's name and a description about them. It can be brief like mine are, or it can be a whole essay. Add as much information that you think is going to help people understand your character. Under the description is your permissions box, where you can set your rules for how other people are allowed to draw your character. Just as an example, I have Licia's set to stuff involving another canon character that we'll get into much later. After all your permissions are accounted for, let's move down the page to the external links section. This section is just in case you have more external sites that talk about your characters that you want to link. For example, I've linked the Origin blog that I started on Tumblr dedicated to all things Licia that you should really go follow, by the way. This isn't necessary to finish uploading a character, but it helps if people want to learn more about them and you've got way more information than you can fit in this page. Next is the filters checkbox. If you have any artwork of this character that needs a warning, like gore, eye strain, or suggestive themes, please check this box. This helps to filter your work for people who may not want to find that type of work on their browse page. You can read more about the specific terms by clicking on the hyperlinked filter guides in the section. Moving on to the next section, credits. If your character is from a pre-existing piece of media that you didn't make yourself, it is very recommended you give additional credits to the owner of that media as well as their design conventions. I have credits to Aphmau and her company Catface for the design inspirations for my OC's uniforms and werewolf extremities. After credits, you'll have the main image section where you put the reference photos of your OC. If you want to add more than one photo, that comes later, so just stick to one for now. The main image should be your full reference, while the thumbnail image should be what the general public sees while browsing through your page. The last thing on this page is tags. These work like tags on any other website. A couple of the tags I have are the Aphmau tag and the MyStreet tag. You don't have to tag your characters, but it helps people find certain fandom OCs that may have been buried otherwise. After all of that information is filled out, you can then hit the submit character button and boom, you made your first Artfight character. Now that I've helped some people with getting started on Artfight, you are now obligated to sit and listen to me yap about my 2 new featured OCs for the next 3 pages of the script. Cool? Cool. The first of the 2 OCs I want to talk about is Licia Volkov, and my latest obsession as of recently. I've never been so obsessed with the character I've made, so this is genuinely really weird for me. Licia is a werewolf character I've made for the Aphmau universe, mainly the MyStreet and Phoenix Drop High series, and is a childhood friend of the Romaves. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that what I've been doing is admittedly cringy, but I'm 22 years old. Does it look like I give a singular flying I am cringe, but I am free. So, anyway, Licia has been friends with the Romaves since childhood, including when Aphmau was around, and continued to live near them until Licia's adulthood, where she leaves to travel across the European continent to play in an orchestra. Her mom is part of a local orchestra founded by a couple of her college friends, and her dad is a marketing and advertising specialist. She also has a brother, but I don't think I've figured out what he does for work. I'm gonna be so honest with y'all right now. I have no idea how much I should be sharing since I've got so much written out for them, like, I'm crazy type of Google Docs. And that's only their first and second years of high school. I'm still writing the MyStreet timeline, so I'll try to be as brief as I can and leave the link to the Google Doc, so if you want to read my outline, you can. The most important thing to note about Licia and her story as a whole is her relationship with Gareth. Now, I know. Calm down. Please. Yes, I'm so aware of this. Yes, I pair her with Gareth. Is it predictable? Yes. Is it basic? Absolutely. Do I care? No, not really. So therefore, shut your mouth. So yeah, the majority of her story does revolve around the dynamics between her and Gareth, promptly named Garcia because I thought it would be funny, and is honestly a pretty good writing exercise for me. A lot of people I've seen will tend to alter canon when it comes to adding and shipping OCX canon characters, but for me, I really love keeping as close to canon as I possibly can in order to make everything seem more believable. Trying to weave the existing character traits and interactions with another separate storyline while the main one from the canon show is still going on, while not diminishing the original storyline's plot, is something I find to be a great writing challenge. So, that's what this monster is. Anyways, a little spark notes about their dynamic. Licia has had a crush on Gareth for a long time, and at the start of high school, they start a sort of situationship, I guess, that continues until Gareth graduates high school. It isn't until MyStreet where they're finally able to talk about it and give dating each other a try, while the events of MyStreet proper test the strength of their friendship as well as their romantic relationship. Licia had this thing where when she was a baby, her ears and tail disappeared, like completely, causing her to be raised human until the summer before her freshman year of high school. I genuinely don't know how much I can explain about the story without sounding like a complete lunatic and just adding like, oh, and Licia was there too, you know? But anyways, all the major plot points that happen in the actual show still happens in my Garcia draft, with a little more changes added to the MyStreet side of things, since a lot of weird stuff happens in MyStreet proper. We're not gonna talk about some of it. Licia does end up being there for a majority of canon events, since she somehow gained this unfortunate ability to be present in the most absurd circumstances. I don't know how I ended up doing that, but she's just there, I guess. Designing her actual look is what was the most fun. In the few instances where I do design characters for existing media, I really want the OC to feel like they actually belong in the world. I know that I've done a good job once I can look at a character and say, yeah, I could see them being canon in the actual show. I like giving my OCs intrigue, but not so much that they overshadow the main character and cast. I've talked about this more in depth in my AFMA Pokemon Trainers video and my One Piece Genshin video, so hopefully you guys get what I'm talking about by now. I started designing her Phoenix Drop High character sheet first since I felt it'd be easier to figure out what sort of person she'd be based on the changes I made to her uniform. I drew the second season's uniform first since I think that design is way more iconic than the season 1 uniforms, plus it gives me the chance to make a few alterations. I gave her some leg warmers that add more interest to her silhouette and gave her a fanny pack to hold all of her stuff in since I'm imagining that the pockets in the uniform skirt aren't that reliable. I also made her part of the student mentorship program in order to, again, give that variation in silhouette. I wanted her hair shape to be pretty unique, even though I am very aware that this probably won't translate well into Minecraft, but I wasn't really thinking of the blocky game textures at that moment. I had tried a few pretty spiky options, but nothing was really working with the face I'd drawn already. It wasn't until I rounded everything out and gave her this puffy short haircut that everything started to fall into place. For her colors, I had originally planned to have her be a brunette with pink accents, but as soon as I made her eyes this sort of tealy green, that all went out the window and she ended up with orange hair and teal accents to match her eyes. At first, I made this character sheet for laughs, and then I'm like, well, what if I made a comic about this? And that's how we got an 81-page document about just seasons 1 and 2 of Phoenix Drop High. That's the outline for the comic, by the way. Yeah, the word vomit taking up a mega butt ton of my Google Drive storage is the draft. And I want to draw all that. Ugh. Anyways, all of the refs for the comic that I've drawn for the majority of the characters are up on my art fight and on my Tumblr blog dedicated to the Garcia comic. Now that we've thoroughly covered Licia, let's move on to the second new OC that I am featuring this year. We are yet again staying in the AF-verse for this, so buckle up. Next is Odette Castellan. I ended up thinking it would be nice to give Licia someone to bounce off of besides Garth, so in a brief comic I made featuring a Garth and Licia interaction, I plopped in this little chibi to be a friend of Licia's that was in the mentorship program with her. She didn't have a name at the time, so when I was writing the first draft of season 1 of Phoenix Drop, I figured I'd finally needed to flesh her out first. Before I even started drawing Odette, and before Odette was even her name, I was thinking about how her personality would affect her design rather than the way I did for Licia where her design influenced her personality. I wanted someone to relate to Licia creatively, so in the same way that Licia has a passion for music, Odette has a passion for ballet. Now, when you hear the name Odette, you guys probably thought as much. Odette is a classic name in terms of ballet, but I wanted to make her more of the black swan to contrast with Licia's bright color palette. And then that begs the question of why I didn't use the actual black swan's name Odile from the ballet. Well, because I didn't think that Odile sounded good next to Licia. Anyway, Odette is also a werewolf. In the progression of the story, Odette is essentially helping Licia embrace her werewolf side while also dealing with Garth and Licia's stupidity. She's pretty blunt when it comes to Licia's well-being, since if she doesn't say it plainly, then Licia literally will not understand her. For her actual design, I wanted to give her a sort of neat appearance with straight long hair and pretty symmetrical bangs that hit her eyebrows. I also gave her these kind of sharp eyes that make her have a sort of intimidating RBF, if you know what I mean, as well as making her tail more straight than Licia's is. Her colors came to me almost immediately since I knew I wanted her vibe to be on the darker side, so black hair and purple eyes felt fitting for her. I knew that giving her a similar secondary color to Aphmau would be pretty dangerous, but I figured since I made Odette's bangs, hair shape, and eye color different than Aphmau's, I would be in the clear. So in light of that, I also decided to make Odette's secondary casual colors be black, gray, and light blue in order to further pull her away from Aphmau. In the same vein I've done with Licia, I paired Odette with an existing My Street character because I live vicariously through my OCs, so leave me alone. I coupled her up with Lawrence in My Street proper since I doubt they'd ever end up talking to each other for an extended period of time before then. It also would make Lawrence's disappearance for the later seasons of My Street be a little bit more plausible if, let's say, his girlfriend was spending the summer helping him out and his family or something, I don't know. Odette is a pretty simple character, and a lot of her design elements and inspirations came so naturally to me that I honestly don't have much to say in a simple way, in fear of telling you her entire life story, cliches and all. So I'm just gonna let you gather what you can from the Google Doc instead. Both of these OCs are up on my art fight now with a bunch of their casual outfit designs that I didn't show here, so feel free to have a look if you want. I'm participating on Team Crystal this year, but don't let that stop you from drawing these characters since I am also doing Friendly Fire again this year. I'm still featuring my webcomic OCs from last year since they're the only ones that I had reference sheets for, and I could not be bothered to make more for the other OCs that I have. So if you're in the mood for some artistic fun in the month of July and you haven't joined yet, please feel free to join Art Fight. I'll leave a link in the description to the main page of Art Fight so you can get started right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Happy art fighting!